How's it going, guys? And welcome to your SmackDown review. This SmackDown right here, there's not a lot to write home about. Pretty much it seems like if Brock Lesnar's not on the show, there's really not a lot happening. This Seth Rollins feud is like another callback to the Shield, and I'm done with the callbacks to the Shield. Like, quite frankly, I said this years ago when they did the Shield reunion. I was never a big Shield fan, so every time we get these callbacks and these packages, it doesn't really resonate with me. It's not really a great time for wrestling, like as they would lead you to believe. I know it was a lot of big Shield marks back in the day. It's they're really stretching it. It hasn't really quite been a decade yet. I mean, you could sort of stretch the truth a little bit there, but like it's an exaggeration. Is it historic? I guess. When you really think about like everything that they did overall, was it really that impressive? It not for me, really. I don't think it was really that big of a deal. The Shield, the people in it, yes, they went on to bigger and better things, but when we look at it, Roman Reigns was the star, and we're not going to believe all of this that Rollins is saying, like, oh, that he built it, that he's the architect. No one in their right mind will believe that, especially when he's saying it from the position of like a pseudo baby face, because he has to play somewhat of the baby face in this role because Roman Reigns is the monster heel. So we get a mention of Moxley. He talked about how he and Moxley were Roman Reigns' crutch. And a lot of people absolutely love this. Oh, they mentioned Moxley. And, let's be honest, not to downplay it. They seem slowly but surely that they're more comfortable with mentioning the names of people, in other promotions and stuff. We've seen a few different little examples of this. They're not erasing Ambrose. I thought it was kind of funny that he said Moxley and he didn't say Ambrose, because Ambrose would obviously resonate with the WWE fans more than, people. I guarantee there's probably a few people saying that who's Moxley, right? Well, I'm going to be honest with you. When I listened to this promo the first time, I actually had to go back and listen to it a second time because he said it so fast, and he said Mox, and it was a little bit slurred, and I wasn't like expecting he was going to say it. So I'm going to tell you the truth. It went right over my head. I didn't even hear it. I'm going to be quite honest with you. Even though I review these shows, I don't hang on every word of what the wrestler is saying. I listen to it, and this is just generally how normal conversation goes for most people. You're not going to really register every single word and have it memorized. I know the maniacs on the dirt sheets do, but that's not me. Maybe someone else like JD does that, where he can sit around and talk about like a sentence for like an hour, but not me. So this promo right here, he bring another guy from Raw because they have no one on SmackDown, with all the injuries and everyone being released, and just the fact that we have like no stars on here. Really, without Lesnar, we're totally bankrupt. So there's no one. So we've got Owens. He's there tonight because Seth wants the Usos away from ringside during their match at the Royal Rumble. So he comes up with a match that if they win, if Owens and Seth beat the Usos, then the Usos aren't going to be allowed at ringside at the Royal Rumble. But then Roman, I kind of like this idea of having stakes, but once Roman Reigns then made the counter and added on to that and says, oh, well, you know what? Well, if you guys lose, then I'm not going to defend the title against you at the Royal Rumble. And he goes, I'm going on vacation to WrestleMania. If he left that line out, maybe sort of you could kind of believe that he wouldn't, he maybe wouldn't win. But once he said on vacation until WrestleMania, you knew who's going to win this match. Obviously, there's no one else. Without Rollins, I mean, who else are they going to put in that spot? There literally is no one. It could maybe be Owens, but do we really want to see that guy? Like when Owens came out, I mean, to me that's like, how anticlimactic can you get for a partner? I cannot believe also, like, when I heard how much money they're paying this guy. Is Owens really pushing that much merch where this out of shape, guy who's not really offering a whole lot, there's nothing in the looks department. I mean, you get like a decent promo out of this guy, but like, I don't see any star power. Why is this guy hanging around with all the other people getting released? Why do they think a guy like Owens? I can't see this. Like a guy like Gunner, for example, who's got the body, who could cut a decent promo, I guess. I mean, I don't know, but it has a better look. I mean, I just think there was tons of guys that were better that got released. I mean, you're talking about Owens. Like, I mean, who's a giant Kevin Owens fan besides the biggest indie marks? But, whatever. So we have the match. Obviously, Owens and Seth go over. They protect the Usos by having Roman Reigns run in and do a Superman punch on Seth, preventing there from being a pin, but he still loses anyway, so the Usos aren't going to be allowed at ringside. All right, so, I mean, that's basically the biggest story of the show. So, we'll talk about some of these other little things that occurred. Summer Rae being announced as a legend has sent, like, the entire wrestling community, the IWC on Twitter, oh my God, they called her a legend. I mean, look, I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. This legend term, I mean, it's been bastardized. I don't really understand why a lot of people get all bent out of shape about this, but yeah, I'll admit that, calling someone like Summer Rae, who is just a glorified valet, a legend, she's not Miss Elizabeth, she's not Sherry Martel. I sit around, I think to myself sometimes when I watch Peacock, the network, some of these guys, like, who do we consider to be a legend? Like, is Heidenreich a legend? Is Nathan Jones a legend? No, but, some people, like, I would consider someone like Gangrel to be a legend. He may have not won a title in WWE, but, I mean, the guy had an impactful character, and, he's remembered for his entrance and the Brood, a memorable faction, but I was thinking, like, but just because you like somebody, does that also make them a legend too? It's all perspective, really. But, like, I always thought Bull Buchanan was a pretty talented big man, but is he a legend? I mean, he was a tag champion, which Gangrel was not. He was in Right to Censor. He was with the Boss Man. He was with Cena during his first year in WWE, but I don't know if I'd call him a legend. It was the same thing like them calling Alicia Fox a legend. Is she a legend? I mean, she won the Divas title, but is she a legend? No. So that's the thing. I mean, it was the ring announcer. She's there at ringside during the match with Aaliyah and Natalya, and they're doing this match again. And Xia Li comes out. We haven't seen her like in an entire month. She was mentioned, like, in a promo. She might have had, like, a little promo backstage about 3 weeks ago, and all of a sudden she's coming out, and I absolutely love this entrance. I mean, not really talking about the style of it. I like that, too. It is a little cartoonish, but, it's got pizzazz, and it looks really nice with the effects, but the crazy thing is, Aaliyah's getting stomped. Her ass is getting stomped out in the corner by Natalya. And get this, Xia Li's doing the fans and everything. She's acting, like Katana from Mortal Kombat, or, she's taking her sweet ass time. And I know, Natalya stopped stomping her because she's mesmerized this veteran of the game, over a decade, How long has she been in WWE? 14 years, 15 years, right? Since 2008, I believe. And she's stopping when the rookie comes out. You know what I mean? But it's like, shouldn't Xia be rushing down to the ring to save her? I mean, taking her time, to say the least. I also couldn't get over how Big E is just standing ringside for Kofi Kingston. He's speaking of glorified valets, I mean, this guy was the world champion. He was the WWE champion not too long ago. And here he is. And he's like a nobody now. He's not even contending for a title. He's just a New Day member again. How pathetic. This is what we've talked about for so many years on this channel. When people nowadays, when they win a world title, what happens? They get like demoted to the Intercontinental or the US title. Big E, he's not doing jack shit. He's just standing around. Yeah, he gave a big ending to Madcap Moss, but I mean, wow. Talk about how the mighty have fallen, and was he ever really that mighty? I guess not. Throwaway champion. I mean, who thought that would ever be a term? Like, you've heard of transitional champion, such as Bob Backlund, for example, and Diesel, but, throwaway champion? Like, not even really serving a purpose at all, and he was there for months on end with the title. Then we get another chapter in the oh-so-lovable Naomi and Sonya Deville saga. It's a screwjob finish. We've got Naomi versus Charlotte. Didn't we see Sonya Deville as a guest referee not too long ago? Wasn't it a match against Shayna Baszler, right? And here it is again. We do Survivor Series 1997, probably the most bastardized version of it, mind you. She rings the bell and there's no tap out while she's in the figure eight. So when she goes backstage, Adam Pearce is there talking to Eric Bischoff, and I'm like, remember I did so many rants saying about how Eric Bischoff was such a great GM, and even after the Attitude Era, I said, like, this guy was an instrument of making things exciting, as being the authority figure on Raw. The way how he would interact with the various superstars, it would put the superstars over. It would put the show over. It made it, fun. And he was a good personality himself, a great heel authority figure. And here we've got the most boring authority figure probably ever. As I said, even blander than Mike Adamle, for God's sakes. So anyway, Adam Pearce he's finally commenting on Sonya Deville's devious tactics, that she's screwing over Naomi. And he says he's going to have to take action now that he sees this. And he says he's going to recommend something to the board of directors. And what is it going to be? I don't know if this was supposed to be a tease, or you thought maybe she might get reprimanded or something like that, but I don't think so. He goes, it's going to be another match between you and Naomi. Like, oh wow, what a punishment there. She's going to have a normal basic match, not even a gimmick match, but just a match, a fucking match to resolve this feud that's been going on for months. I mean, like I just said, like a pathetic authority figure. Adam Pearce is like, he just couldn't get any worse. And here's like Bischoff, and it's just absolutely worthless in this role. Like, why is he even here? Like, why is he even there? I mean, does he live in Nashville now? Because they did show Jeff Jarrett backstage, which was probably the laziest written segment I've ever seen. So we've got Nakamurphy, the Intercontinental Champion, just hanging out with Boogs backstage, not really doing anything. They bump into Jeff Jarrett, and Boogs does the JEFF JARRET, This is the thing I talked about years ago when he made his return to WWE and he had those segments with Elias. I don't know why we're going back to country singer, Double J, when we've had all these years of, the WWE Double J smashing guitars over people's heads, the better theme music that Jim Johnston wrote for him, just Deborah, Puppies, the TNA Jeff Jarrett, the WCW Jeff Jarrett, Slap Nuts. I mean, and we're going back to this, the least over version of Jarrett. So I don't even know why they want him to do this type of Jeff Jarrett, unless it's a rib, unless McMahon gets a kick out of this version of Jeff Jarrett. But I've never liked country singer Jeff Jarrett. Jeff Jarrett was a great heel, when he was basically just a pissed off dude, and he didn't have to do this hokey thing. And, he says well, what's your name? And Boogs goes, my name is Rick Boogs. And Jeff Jarrett says, well, how do you spell that? And then we just kind of fade out. Do you really need to know how to spell Rick Boogs? What is Jeff Jarrett, illiterate? I get it's a joke, but still, it's just a lazy segment. I get it. Yeah, we're in Nashville, so let's have Jeff Jarrett. That's fine. Like I said, I'm happy to see him. It's great to see Jeff Jarrett, but can we do something interesting with him? I guess not. And to wrap things up, I want to talk about this Sami Zayn segment, which was a complete 180 from what we got last week, which was actually pretty good, and it was a fun little segment. But Sami Zayn, with a table of self-defense weapons, and he says, this is how Knoxville started off, using these weapons on himself, and, okay, that's all fine and well, but we all probably know he's not really going to use these weapons on himself, but they're making like he is, and there's this super fake sound effect, and I'm like, okay, are they actually making like he is using these weapons on himself, and it's not even the correct sound effect for how a cattle prod is supposed to sound, and he's putting it on his heart and all this, and we all know that it's phony and that it's not real, but could they at least get the correct sound effect in there? Well, Knoxville comes out, and after wasting everyone's time, he reveals that Sami Zayn has had the device off the whole time, and he says it's been turned off. So I don't know, did Sami Zayn have someone in the production truck that he paid off? If so, he should ask for his money back, because that was one of the most fucked sound effects I've ever heard in my life. It couldn't get any more cartoonish than that. A bad cartoon sound effect, mind you. So Knoxville has it turned on. So are we going to get a more realistic sound effect now to show that, Zayn is the underhanded guy? No, we're getting an even worse sound effects. It goes, wah, wah, wah. It's like, and it's the same sound effect, even when he removed the cattle prod from Zayn's body. All the times I've heard a taser or anything like that, it's always had a clicking sound to it. Not like this, where it's like an electric orb or something like that. It sounded just like the most generic sound effects from Looney Tunes cartoons. And it's fine for a cartoon because, it's a cartoon. It's not real. But this is supposed to be simulating something that is real, that's happening. I mean, it is a performance that's being performed by live people. So you'd kind of expect for there to be the illusion that it's real. But no, we don't get that. We get probably, this was really just the worst segment. And you knew it was fake from the beginning. And then they're like, oh, okay, so it's playing into Zayn's character that he's faking. So they're not going to mislead the audience, trying to make them believe that it was fake. No, but they make it even faker, which makes, Knoxville's, jackass thing look even worse. even though Knoxville is telling Zayn, well, you're making, my shit look bad, and you're worried about me making your wrestling shit look bad. You're out here doing this. But no, it ends up making his shit look even worse, mind you. I don't even know why Knoxville would even agree to this, because it does it. It makes his craft into a joke when he is genuine, when he's the one who performed all his own stunts. He's a man who put his money where his mouth is, and he gets all the credit in the world for doing Jackass and doing all the moves and doing those stunts and putting his body on the line for everyone's entertainment, no matter how you think about it. I mean, in that case, it is very similar to professional wrestling, doing lots of crazy shit for, and doing it for the fans, doing it for the viewers. This was absolutely terrible in every facet that I could believe that it could possibly be. Well, there you go, guys. Not really much else to say. Pretty shitty episode of SmackDown, to say the least. It's very unexciting, very uneventful. But let me know what you guys thought down in the comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bells to get all notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support, and I'll see you next time.